It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. It's the Nintendo Switch, and we're reviewing it for GamesBeat. I'm Jeffrey Grubb. This is it. It's out. Nintendo Switch. It's coming out Friday. I've had it for a few days now. I've had it since last week. Time to talk about the system itself. Time to review this thing, really. So let's get right into it. It's out March 3rd, $300. It's going to have a couple games at launch. Zelda, 1-2 Switch, Snipper Clips. It'll have some other indie games. Nintendo announced a bunch of those recently in a big video presentation. We could talk about those a little bit. That's not the crux of this review. The games are going to be the games. They'll stand on their own, and if you're considering this platform as a library of games, that's very different than what we're talking about now. What we're going to be talking about is this as a piece of hardware, as a gaming device, as a gaming machine. And with that in mind, I think we should just jump right into what I like, and then we'll get into what I don't like. So to start, let's just say that there is a lot here to enjoy. It is a well-built system. Nintendo did a good job. I think it is attractive. It is compact for really what it is. I mean, considering it is like a huge screen that plays HD games, considering how powerful it is relatively sleek and small and compact, and I really appreciate that. And that size and power combination is kind of the big thing here. The big draw for me is that it is a small device. It can almost fit in my pocket. Probably won't fit in most people's pockets, but it will fit in your bag. And you could take it with you, and you could play Zelda on the train. You could play Zelda in the car. You could play Zelda anywhere. That is a big draw, and it delivers on that. You won't. I don't think for most people. I don't think most people are going to feel uncomfortable pulling this out in public and playing it, especially if you just have a commute on a BART on the way home. And on the flip side of that, in terms of the power, it really is a rather impressive home console. You know, it's not a PlayStation 4. It's not an Xbox One even, I don't think. But you don't really notice that when you're playing Zelda, and it looks as good as it does, and it runs fairly well. There has been some framiness I've noticed in that game, and we'll get into that more when I do that review. But like when you're playing on handheld mode, it actually runs really smooth. And that kind of like actually leads me into the next big point. So it's running smooth, it looks great, and it looks even better in the handheld mode when it's running at 720p. And a game like Zelda, a high fidelity 3D game where it's hard to see everything, where that would typically be hard to see on like a small screen. This screen, 6.2 inches, 720p, that resolution is just good enough to really ensure that you get all the details. You could see everything just fine. I think if you were to play a game like this on a Vita, I think the Vita's 540p screen would be just not sharp enough. It is a really good looking screen, but I think for a really like a console quality game, that 3D space, the details can get lost in the translation there. That's not happening here, I've noticed. And that is one of the most impressive things I think about the system, is that those full 3D games, they work. And you don't have to get 2D representations. You don't have to have more like simple visual design to get the same ideas across, because that console 3D visual design will work on here. Let's talk about now the way Nintendo pitched this system to begin with. It is a system you could take with you. It's a system you can play on your TV, and it's a system you can set on a table and play with other people. It does all those things. You know, it has Joy-Cons come off, and you could set this on the table and play it that way. This kickstand's not the best, and I'll get into that and things I don't like. But it's, you know, set it right there. We'll get video of this. Hopefully I'll have some B-roll playing. And yeah, that works. That's fine. I think it shines the most in handheld mode, and I really do think that's how I will use it the most. But when it is time to come use it on the TV, popping it in the dock is so simple. It works so easy. You don't have to fiddle around with it. There's not like a lot of wriggling in there to make sure that it's in the right place. It just works. That's just lovely. And I think Nintendo definitely needs to be applauded for promising something that looked kind of too good to be true and delivering on it and kind of having a really great user experience. Speaking of user experience, I would say that the Joy-Cons are relatively comfortable for what they are. When they're on a device, holding them like this is pretty comfortable. I've been playing like this mostly, and I've been fine. I've gotten used to it, especially. I think in the first day, I think having the stick below the buttons, right below the buttons, not offset, that caused some discomfort. I got over it. I'm used to it now. I really actually like the way this feels as a handheld. When you bring the Joy-Cons off and you use them as individual little things, that's a different story, a little less comfortable. When you're using both to play a game like Zelda on the TV and you have them disconnected, that's fine as long as you're not trying to like hold them like tightly or all at once. If you let them, like if you hold them like off in like your fingertips, that's much more comfortable. And then when you have them on the grip accessory, which I have around here somewhere, that works. I think that's fine. It's not the best. It's not as comfortable as a Pro controller, but it gets the job done. And I'm having no real issues with it. Again, you have to kind of maybe don't like hold it tight. Don't hold it in your palms. Hold it in your fingertips, and you'll have a much better experience. Other ways that the user design is well made. This interface, it is basic. Nintendo still hasn't updated it with its day one patch. We'll get into that. We're gonna have to do an update to kind of this video once that happens. But I think if the basics of that patch still kind of keep the interface here the way it is, and how snappy it is, how quick it is to answer your calls to action, I'll be happy. The thing is, it's just so quick. Everything happens instantaneously. Taking screenshots. So you press the button, and you could spam the button, and it's just taking screenshot after screenshot, and the response you get from that is shit. Is that you? I just thought the pizza might be here. The screenshot button is another example of really smart user design. You could spam that thing, hit it at any time. It just gets the job done. It doesn't, there's no delay, there's no loading. It just works, and it feels really good to take pictures, take screenshots while playing. Let's see here. What else is there? I also really like that it supports SDXC memory cards. Having that future-proof storage option is really smart. I have a 200 gigabyte SDXC card. It's super small, right here. It goes right in there. If I put it in there, it prompts for an update, so it doesn't work yet. So you can just use a regular SD card, which I think is up to 32 gigabytes or 64. And that's fine for now, especially since you can't download anything because the eShop's not working. But having that future-proof so that, like, this supports up to 2 terabytes of storage on one of these SDXCs. They don't even make those yet, or at least they don't sell them. So having that option kind of down the road is going to be a smart thing for Nintendo to have done. Let's see, anything else? I think, just again, really sleek design. I think this is a really handsome device. I'm happy with the design options that Nintendo went with. You know, the sleek look of the screen itself, the black on the gray. It just looks professional, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Finally, battery. The battery life is impressive. I think that a lot of people I think were worried the battery wasn't going to do well during game, or it wasn't going to last long enough to justify this as a portable device. That's wrong. This is just fine. As long as you're not on maximum brightness for the most part, you're going to get plenty of gameplay out of this. You're not going to get 6 or 7 or 8, 9 hours like maybe you would on a Game Boy, maybe certain games on lowest brightness on the 3DS. But that honestly, you don't really ever get that much battery life out of most modern, devices with a touchscreen and a bright, high definition display. there's just too many pixels. It's too demanding on on the battery, on the processors. This is going to last about as long as a high definition iPad running a game or something like that. That's going to do it. So I really like it. I think it's a good device. It's solid. There are some problems though. That kickstand I mentioned earlier. It's flimsy. It's not, it comes right off and it pops right back on. But this is as far as it goes out. And I find that most tables I'm sitting at, this angle that it's at, it's kind of like this. I would much rather to be like that. And it's not going to sit like that. It's only going to sit at this one angle. And I kind of have to like hunch down a little bit, and that makes it uncomfortable to use. You're probably supposed to be sitting further back, but you just want to have the option to be able to adjust it if you need to. There is the problem with the Joy-Con connectivity issue, so I think that's something maybe that's kind of separate. I don't know if that's going to be a problem for everybody. It hasn't been a problem for me really. It's been fine so far. You might encounter it. Who knows? But it's something to know that maybe the Joy-Cons, the radio signal isn't as strong as you would like it to be. I think as long as you're sitting 10 feet away from your TV, you're going to be fine. Other things, we don't know anything about the online features really, what it's going to look like. The day one update's not live. We don't know what the app's going to be like. And then, just like I said, the Joy-Con button placement. This is uncomfortable, having it one on top of the other. I did get used to it, but I think that I wish they could have found a way to offset it a little bit. And I think that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. It was just kind of a blast of information there from me, but I didn't want this video to go on and on and on. I'm going to have more videos, and I think I'm going to have to come back and do a second part of this once that day one update does go live. For now, this is the Nintendo Switch. I really like it. It is I almost dropped it. It's what I wanted from Nintendo. I didn't want them to try to compete with PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I wanted them to make the best handheld device ever. It's not quite there just because it is trying to do everything. It's trying to be a jack of all trades, and it doesn't quite master any of them specifically. As a handheld, it is too big. As a home console, it is underpowered. As a tabletop thing, I guess that is interesting. It does that better than anything else because nothing else is trying to do that. But I admire the audacity of Nintendo to try to do all those things in one system, to try to make this different and not just do the obvious thing of just a system that connects to your TV and that's it. Having the Joy-Cons that come off and act as two controllers, that's interesting. I can appreciate that. And that is why I'm kind of right now I'm on the fence about whether or not I recommend it. I would say for now, if you need to play Zelda and you don't own a Wii U, and that means you have to go and buy a Wii U, just go buy a Switch. If you are going to get Zelda on the Wii U, just wait. Clearly, I think you've already made that choice if you're deciding to get Zelda for the Wii U. If you're in between and trying to figure out which way to go, I would say that there is no shame in waiting. There is no problem with you taking your time and making sure that you get the best deal. And $300 for this system without a game, with nothing packed in, with kind of the dead Joy-Con grip that doesn't have the rechargeable battery. There's not a lot in the system that is kind of encouraging you to say, hey, come over here, make this $300 purchase. We're trying to encourage you to do that. I think by this holiday, that will change. I would imagine by this holiday, they are going to have the pack-in Zelda version, and they are going to have the pack-in 1-2 Switch version. That's coming, and maybe if that sounds better for you, wait for that. It's going to happen. So in this case right now, as is, I like the system. I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I'm playing it. If I didn't, and I knew everything I knew now, I would go buy one. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. And I want to let you guys kind of get in my head a little bit about that. It's all because playing Zelda on the toilet is dope. I mean, I went to the airport to go pick up my mother-in-law, and I was waiting there. And I was just playing a full-fledged Zelda game right there, waiting for her to come and meet me. And I was just playing Zelda right there in the middle of no TV, no nothing. But this Breath of the Wild amazing experience was in my hands the entire time. And for me, that's worth a lot. And you'll have to decide if it's worth a lot to you. I think it's going to do it. Thanks for watching, guys. The video kind of did get kind of dragged there at the end, didn't it? But I got my point across. I think you guys should have a pretty good idea of what this system can do for you and whether or not it's going to work for you. If it doesn't, well, oh well. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get going. I will be back with plenty of like Switch coverage, Zelda coverage. I'm going to be talking about the accessories soon. I got the Pro controller, things like that. So thanks for checking me out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.